Hey everyone, in this Elden Ring Armor Explained video, I'm going to go all through armor in Elden Ring and hopefully answer all of the questions you've got. If I don't answer something that you've got a question on, do hit me up in the comments and I will do my best to help. But we're going to go through armor types, how to equip armor, whether you can do things like hide the helm, how stats work, whether you can upgrade armor, and much more. Let's go. So you can see my character here has got this rather cool armor on. This is called the Drake armor set, and it's made of various different bits from a drake, and you can see these rather cool feet as the cloak, and then the cool helm and stuff like that. So there are 4 different slots for armor in Elden Ring, and you can access them by hitting the menu button or the appropriate button on your platform. I'm on the Xbox, and then going to equipment, and here is where you equip all of your stuff. And halfway down the left hand side you can see we've got these 4 slots with those armor bits in. So we have the head, so that's where your helm is equipped. And then you have for the chest, the armor, so the main sort of chest armor. And then we have the arms, so that's your gauntlets. And then your legs, which are your greaves. Now, if you look in the middle of this area, you can see a bit of information on the armor. So we have weight, we have damage negation and resistance. And armor protects you in this way. So there are many different types of damage that you can actually get affected by in Elden Ring. You've got physical, you've got different types of attack at you like strikes, slashes and pierce. You've also got magic, fire, lightning and holy. So all of these things can affect you, and different armor will give you different sort of negation against those. So the higher these numbers, the better. On the right hand side you also have resistance, and these are resistance against certain things in Elden Ring, things like resistance to poison or scarlet rot or frostbite and stuff like that. And there's also some other bits and bobs here that we're going to go through as well, poise being quite an important one. So if you're confused what all of these things are, what you can do is turn on help. So you can see down the bottom there's a little icon next to help. So for me that's the screens button on the Xbox. You should see a different one if you're on a different platform. So if we hit that and go down to explanation, what this then gives us is this handy little explanation of each thing, so you can see how this works. So we've got all these different things. So these ones are quite obvious, but the resistance is the confusing thing, confuses many different people in Elden Ring. So you can see immunity talks about your resistance to poison and rot. So that's that one. Robustness is blood loss and frostbite. Focus, so this resistance to sleep and bouts of madness. And vitality, your resistance to death, which is quite an important one. And this one, poise, which is one that I was a bit confused on, the degree to which you can resist collapsing under enemy attacks. Okay, so on the right hand side, this is where we can see some of this. So we're going to talk about this. There's your poise. That's the total poise that we've got from all of our armor, all added together. And you can see that's currently 28. So that's not great because this armor is quite light, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. We've also got the equipment load. This is very important, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, because what you want to be doing is ideally having armor where you can move around swiftly so you can dodge, and this one can't. The other thing you can do on the right hand side here, we can't really see, you know, these are our core stats, but if I get rid of that, so I've hit B to get rid of that, and then I'm going to switch the right view with Y, and then this shows me exactly how my negation is affected by all of the stuff that's equipped on me. So again, if we turn on the help, and if I go to explanation and we go over to the right, it'll tell us about this. So it says, for example, for physical, your defense power and damage negation against standard physical attacks. The former, so the number on the left, is calculated via attributes, while the latter is calculated via defensive gear and any additional effects. So it's those numbers on the right that will get affected as we change our armor type. So you can see all these things here, and hopefully that's making a lot more sense. So we'll back out that with B, and I'll switch that back to here. So let's talk about these different things and see how things get affected. So first of all, let's just try removing some armor. So you can remove any of this armor with X on the Xbox, which would be square on the PlayStation. And if you look down the bottom, if you're on a different platform like PC, hopefully you'll see a button next to remove. So let's remove all of these. And as I'm removing these, look on the right hand side. So, well, also in the middle as well, you can see now I'm getting no negation because I've got nothing on my body, arms or legs. But if you look on the right hand side, the equipment load now shows much lighter. So if we drop that one, my equipment load with all these other bits and bobs that I've got is now only 17, and I'm classed as a light load. And that becomes very important when we're rolling. However, you can also see we've got no benefit of armor sort of helping our cause. So if we switch the view to the right, you can see those numbers, if you remember what they said, are much lower without any armor on. So watch how they change now as I equip something. So we'll select the legs here, and we'll go back to those night greaves, And now when we're adding something, the blue number shows where things are improved. So you can see as I select this armor, we get lots of blue numbers. We also get one red number. So this is saying, hey, this has got a weight of 5.7, but you're going to get all these benefits to your damage negation and your resistance. So of course, any armor is better than no armor, but you'll see this differs between different armor types. So I'm going to go back to that Drake Knight armor first. So we'll just add that and watch those numbers jump up as we add all of these again. So we're adding them and those numbers are jumping up, which is cool. It means we've got some sort of protection. Now, the other thing, like we saw, was the weight was jumping up. So let's just look at that weight quickly. So if we go back to the equipment, so you can see now the equipment load is 38.6 on the right-hand side of 97.9. So 97.9 is currently the maximum amount of equipment that I can carry. And what this is saying at the minute is because it's only 38.6, I'm classed as medium load. And why that's important is when you come to dodge in Elden Ring. So when you hit the B button, which would be, that's on the Xbox, so that would be circle on the PlayStation, you will jump backwards like this and dodge. And if you flick it when you're moving left or right, you'll get this roll. Now, the heavier the equipment that you carry, the slower you will become, or the faster if you've got less equipment. So if we go back to that equipment again and we remove some more equipment, so let's just drop off my weapon there and my helm, you should hopefully see that that roll is faster. So you don't have to fight this way in Elden Ring. You don't have to dodge attacks. You can block attacks. You can just take the attack, whatever you see fit. But personally, I quite like rolling out of the way and rolling through attacks. So the faster, the better. But I typically go with medium load. So it's up to you how much you go for, but medium works perfectly fine. And that generally means that you can have a decent sized weapon, like for example, this blasphemous blade, and then either with or without a helm. So that's up to you there. So when we've got those things there, let's just get the sword, and you can see I'm not as fast as light load, but I'm still pretty quick. I can still roll pretty fast, which is pretty cool. So if we go back to the equipment, the next thing I want to talk about is upgrading armor. Can you upgrade armor? The answer is no. So each type of armor, you can't upgrade it. There is no bonus for having the same set of armor, so that leaves you free to mix and match if you so wish. So we could just change these to a different set of gauntlets, for example. Let's say the Banished Knight. So we get a different look there. So if you want to mix and match your armor, that's fine. Can you hide your helm? The answer is currently no, which is a little frustrating. So if you want to run around and see your character's face like we do here, you either have to wear no helmet at all or look for a more open helm. So for example, you can go for the commoner's headband altered, and that will give you a slight bit of armor, but not much compared to a proper helm. So you can see there's that look there. So of course, having a full-on strong helm is going to benefit this. So let me show you the difference. So once you've equipped armor, if you want to compare it to other armor, you can do this. So there's that one equipped. If I hit OK, now when I move through the armor, this is comparing it against my current equipped armor. So my current equipped headband against other things. So we can see the commonest headband that's not been altered, for example, offers a bit more protection than just the plain headband here. And as we go through, you will see virtually everything is better than this headband. Occasionally, you will find a piece of armor that will give a perk to something. So if you look at this one, this imp head, on the right-hand side, dexterity jumps up to 47. So it's giving me a boost of 2 on dexterity. And so it's worth looking at some of these. So this silver tier mask bumps up my arcane to 33, but most won't do massive boosts, but it's worth having a little look, particularly if you're things like a magic user. You may find certain helms give you a boost to magic. I'm just trying to think if I've got something like one, for example, that gives quite a big boost to intelligence, so you can see that. But most helms are just improving the sort of general stats of the armor. So that poise can change quite dramatically. So if I wanted a much more protective helm, if I go all the way down to my heavy armor, something like the Fire Prelate helm is much heavier, so the weight is 10.6. It looks horrendous, but look at the benefits to everything. It improves everything except vitality, and it also improves my poise compared to the standard ones. If we jump off there, look at those big jumps. So it's quite cool the way that happens. You can also compare details. So we could go here and just see a little bit clearer here. So I just use the right button, flicks between different ones, like that. back to normal now, so I'm getting confused. So that's most of what I want to talk about with armor. So you've seen how to equip it, how to remove it. We can't upgrade it. We can mix armor types if we want. I think that's most things covered. I'm just trying to think whether I've missed anything. I don't think so. I think that's most of it covered. So hopefully that was useful to you. You might be thinking, what are good armor types to go for? That depends on the character that you want to play as. So if you're going to go with a magic user, that's the last thing I want to talk about is how do you improve your equipment load, because that's quite important. And that is in status. So if you look in status, what you're looking for is your endurance. So the higher the number of endurance, the more your equipment load would increase, and also your stamina, so you can also do more attacks. So it's kind of like a double benefit. So you can see my endurance of 45 is giving me that equipment load at maximum of 97.9, which means I can wear many different armor types. I still can't wear, tons of armor and tons of weapons, because if you also add multiple weapons here, they also have a weight, which will affect things as well. So you can see this blasphemous blade is 13.5 weight. I've also got another one of them. So if I decided I was going to dual weld a couple of those, let me just get that for you. There you go. You can see my weight is going up. It's still medium load, but if I put on some heavy armor, so let's go for say Radahn's armor, which is quite a bit heavier than the Drake armor, and we'll just get these other bits. There it is. And there's one other thing I want to talk about as well, which is just whether you can alter armor and what that does. There we go. So Radahn's armor is renowned for being some of the best in the game, but you can see by having two heavy swords and all of this armor on, I've then jumped up to a heavy load. So I'll struggle with this. So as I roll really slow with the heavy load there, so I would need to add more stamina to be able to use both of these swords and that heavy armor. If I remove the helm, so that's a possibility, I've got less protection but I can move quicker, so that's it. So the last thing I want to talk about is altering armor, which you can do certain different things. So for example, Radahn's armor, you can do things like alter whether you want a cloak on the back or not. So you can do that if you find tailoring tools or if you find Bok the seamster. And if we just have a little look at this, when we go to rest, then once you've got tailoring tools, you can alter garments, and certain garments can be altered to adjust them. So for example, this festive hood with the shawl, if you alter it, which you see down the bottom, would then turn into a festive hood altered. It won't be as protective, but it's a kind of a little more pleasing to the eye, let's say. You can also change things like the confessor hood to this more altered version. And if we look at some of the chest armors, if we look at one, say, like Radahn's lion armor here, if I press A, down the bottom, I can spend 500 runes and I can change it. And you can see I'll get some benefits here. Everything improves slightly. And the reason is, if we have a little look at this, it's putting the cloak back on the armor. So when you first get this armor, it has this cloak on the back like we see here. But it's a bit more distracting, so whether you want that on or not. Certain head armor as well, you can do things like remove the plume. So if we just go back again, just have a little look at those again. So the head armor, I was just quite interested. The Drake helm. Oh, that's got, if you look down the bottom, you can have it with kind of like a wrap around the front. This one, you can remove the plume from the back of the helmet. Unfortunately, you can't do that with Radahn's armor. That would be quite useful, but only certain armor can be altered. So that's it, really. That's all I wanted to show. In terms of finding armor, you'll find them from defeating enemies. Also sometimes in chests. So like the Drake armor is found in a chest. Radahn's armor is found by defeating Radahn. So you just have to play through the game and gradually improve things over time. So I hope that was useful to you. If it was, give us a thumbs up, please. That's much appreciated. Any comments welcome. And if you like this sort of stuff, have a little look at my channel. I've got over 170 tutorials on Elden Ring. If I'm missing anything that you're stuck on, do hit me up with a comment. I'll do my best to help. Thanks so much for watching.